This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Good evening to you. This is Headlines Now, which means a time for that huge action-packed bulletin when you get to know just everything that's happening in Chennai and, of course, the nation by large. With the rains come the smiles, but also comes red and sore eyes. This morning, in fact, my colleague and good friend, before greeting me, asked me why I had glassy eyes. I'm safe for now, but it seems that many in Chennai are suffering from conjunctivitis. The Madras eye is back, it seems. On this special bulletin, we get you an expert from Shankar Netralaya to tell you what you should do and not do to keep your eyes healthy. But a lot that has been making news. Our central ministers could be changing. Our lawyers are going to work over the weekends. Let's see the headlines back first. External affairs, telecom and agriculture portfolios top on the agenda and the cabinet reshuffle. Senior leaders in the Congress, heated discussion on now. The 8 students allegedly killed Jharkhand boy Nirbhay of Dr. MGR College are arrested. The murder reveals some ugly trading truths. Family courts in Chennai to work on Saturday and Sunday for the benefit of working but fighting couples. Come monsoon and the Madras eye is back. Find out what to do to keep conjunctivitis away. With golf enthusiasts in the city on the rise, is Chennai losing ground for their passion? Ace spin wizard announces his retirement from the international cricket. Will play his last test against India in July. At the semis of FIFA 2010, is it going to be Flying Dutchman or their surprise contenders Uruguay? The Dalai Lama says on his birthday that he is in no hurry to find a successor.
I'm quite healthy.
Meet the man who meets A.R. Rahman's strings. And Malayalam superstar Mammootty finds method to fight terrorism. In perhaps what could be the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's first cabinet reshuffle in the UPA's second term, days before the monsoon session is set to begin, we've learnt that Dr. Singh is likely to make some key changes in his band of ministers. Sources have told us that the Congress has begun discussions on changes in the cabinet, but this is not official yet. Union Agriculture Minister Sharad Pawar's surrendered portfolios are to be given to some of the Congress leaders. Whereas sources say that the Telecom Minister A. Raja may be in the danger zone. There are high chances that he may lose his portfolio. And the Telecom Ministry may be given to a new minister. The vacancy in the Ministry of External Affairs, remember the controversial exit of Shashi Tharoor, is likely to be filled as well. And the reshuffle is possible before the next Parliament session, which starts on the 26th of July. However, in what we've just learnt, in fact, according to my colleagues from New Delhi, the problem in accepting Sharad Pawar's requests as allied will be a little bit of a problem for the Congress, considering the Trinamool Congress and the other allies could just be there to create problems. So we'll have to wait and watch as to what calculations the Prime Minister has made. Moving on, it's going to happen for the first time in India. Family courts in Chennai will now be functional on Saturdays and Sundays. The decision comes in view of the increasing number of cases. A landmark decision indeed, where on the weekends we'll have lawyers fighting it out for the different couples who are complaining. Joining us live on Headlines Now, Sheila Jayaprakash, an advocate in the Family High Court, someone who also argues at the Madras High Court. She joins us from the Hindu studio live right now. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. Your first reaction, you and your colleagues must have had a reaction after this very strong decision and a sudden decision from the Chief Justice. So what's that?
Well, to say it is a sudden decision for sure, Well, what is the problem that it seeks to address to work on Saturdays and Sundays? You just said the backlog. Well, if we work 24/7, we're not going to address that. What has to be addressed is the reason for the backlog. Why do we have points where cases are held up? If it's just the backlog, have more courts. But if you're interested in giving a quietus to cases within a fixed period of time, then we have to see where cases get jammed. What is the stage at which we have these prolonged adjournments? I think it's both procedural as well as parties trying to drag on a case. If you ask me procedural, we have the very first step of service of summons. It takes us 8 to 9 months sometimes. Summons has to be served on the party. Parties are working. Invariably, the first summons is taken by someone in the house, a mother, a father. And then at the first hearing, the party is asked to identify the signature. And if it's not that of the spouse, you get into this roundabout where you start serving summons. So it is second summons, third summons, summons privately, through courier, and endlessly. We've got to remember that at every adjournment, the judge is spending time calling the cases and making a notation in the bundle.
Right.
I think, like in all other civil cases,
Yes.
why should not summons be served on a responsible adult member of the family? Invariably, the party knows about it because they watch the case.
Yes, I think
At
I
the end of
completely
9
agree with
months,
that
when
point
you
that
do
you're
the
making,
paper-
Madam Sheila, about the kind of disparity between the family cases and civil cases. But ma'am, one part of the problem is what you're talking about, which of course, we're very happy that you're making this kind of admission that the kind of procedural delays that take place in family courts and something that badly needs to be addressed apart from just giving out a knee-jerk reaction of working on the weekends. Is it also disturbing to you? I mean, it must be very interesting to be a family lawyer, but it must be disturbing as well considering a recent survey that revealed that the increase in the cases related to matrimony is as much as the increase in perhaps the working women, the number of working women. This disturbing trend, share with us the kind of increase in the cases that you've seen, and are most of them filed on impulse?
Well, I don't think they're filed on impulse. Most of them have taken a considered decision. And I don't know why it's that working women rush to court. I think it's just that fact that they have realized they have a right that they can enforce. It's not that you're going to accept anything and everything. And coming back to this question of working women, they work in their offices Monday through Saturday. And invariably, even if the case in court is delayed by 4:30, 4:45, most women want to rush home to their children. What are they going to do with those children on Saturday, Sunday?
Right, absolutely
That's
agreed
a
with you. In
question
fact,
we have to
perhaps
ask
very rightly put by you, only chauvinism can explain or can perhaps describe the increase in the number of cases as that attributed to working women. But it perhaps is just more awareness that more number of cases are coming up. But ma'am, would you be skeptical with this decision? Would you think that by any chance this decision will have an effect on the cases filed? Let's say if cases are cleared earlier with the extra 2 working days, it would provoke more people to easily file more cases. Is that a possibility?
I think we have to be very naive if we think that 2 extra working days are going to solve the problem. We work during the summer vacations. All other courts take 6 weeks, 5 weeks off. Family courts struggle through the vacations. It's not made a difference. You've got to sit down and think and say, what is going to make a difference? And then you have to work on that. Let me give you one example. It takes 2 years, 3 years before a case comes to reaches the stage of trial. And then when you stand up and say, yes, I'm ready to take up the case for trial, if it's the wife, a wife wants to drag on the case, she will file an interim application for maintenance. it has to be taken up first. If it's the man who wants to take up the case, drag the case, he files a petition for visitation of children. If you've not done that for 3 years, why do you prolong it at this stage? Immediately, the judge should have the power to say, no, at this stage, this gets linked on to the main case. You see, we have to you have to have procedural pruning.
All right.
Somewhere we have to put our foot down, procedure.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Completely agree
did
with
you
you.
ask
And,
me a question?
and thank you for that very pertinent point that you made. In fact, the fact that 2 extra working days will not perhaps solve the problem. The problem has to change in terms of paperwork, in terms of the procedural changes, and hopefully for someone like you, Madam Sheila, and many other advocates who are
not
working
going
in
to
family
solve
courts,
the problem.
we will
It's
see
not
more on
easy.
Saturdays and Sundays, more of making up rather than divorce or separation. But a landmark decision there indeed. And for the first time, it will be that family courts will work on Sundays and Saturdays. Not just, this is of course for the first time in Chennai and in India by and large. We'll have to cut short on that discussion because we have to go ahead on to that shocking story on the North Indian engineering student who was murdered on Monday in Chennai's outskirts. The police have arrested 8 students in connection with the murder of engineering student Nirbhay Kumar Singh. They have been produced in the Arandur court, but another 12 who are suspected to be involved in the killing are said to be absconding, and a search is currently underway. Nirbhay was a student at the MGR deemed university. He was reportedly murdered by a rival gang of engineering students from another college. It has come to light now that both the victim and his alleged killers were involved in a brokerage racket for admission of students to colleges, and differences between the 2 groups in the racket is suspected to be the motive behind the murder.
They were all having, consuming liquor, and that led to a type of a clash. But the real motive, or the real reason will come out only when we have arrested other people also. Even the A1 is still absconding. We have informed them, given the list of students who are involved, and they have promised to give us all the students if they come to college. We have put our own people in the college, and they have promised to take action against them based on the investigation.
Okay, this case is just a one-off case, but we are on top of that story and we will get to the bottom of the truth on that entire ugly brokerage, even if it means digging up the dirt. We'll have to take a short break now, but stay on because Madras Eye is back. So you'll have to find out what to do to keep away from it only on this show. Come back.